What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into Moon Knight issue number 23. This is a Venom and Moon Knight crossover, and we have had Moon Knight searching down Sydney Sarnak. After a sonic attack at a nightclub, Moon Knight had went undercover to discover the identity of this supervillain, now trying to pinpoint this frequency that is causing people to go crazy. The Midnight Mission is about to get a new visitor, the young Dylan Brock, inheriting his father's alien symbiote. This has transformed him into the latest version of the super-powered anti-hero known as Venom. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, I am actually really excited to tell you guys this story. This one is so much fun. I really didn't think it was going to be this great of an issue. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that Moon Knight has been the best comic coming out, but it has definitely been consistent issue after issue. And the crossovers with Moon Knight at least are always a lot of fun. But this story starts us off outside the Midnight Mission. We have the new enforcers that stand outside. The new enforcers being Eel, Thermite, Blitz, and Tangle. And as they stand outside the Midnight Mission, they recognize that this is Moon Knight's house. This puts all of them at pause, not really sure if they want to just leap in and go after Dylan Brock, because Dylan Brock has gone inside the Midnight Mission. He has gone in here looking for some kind of help, and Dylan has come here because Eddie Brock had told him at one point in time that he could trust Moon Knight, said that Moon Knight knows what it's like to have people think you're crazy, untrustworthy, unstable. Moon Knight, a little bit confused on this situation, he does ask Dylan, who is your dad, and why are the new enforcers on my doorstep? With it being easier to simply just show him. This is where we see Venom come out. As Dylan goes on to explain the situation, this is where we have Moon Knight go to the front door. And the new enforcers, they're sitting outside. One of them is saying, hold on. Like, this is Moon Knight's place. We should really think about this. We should take pause and figure out what our next move is. Now, some of the others, they're saying that we are going after Venom for the money. There is a bounty on his head. We're gonna collect that bounty. We're not gonna let a guy in a cape stop us from getting our reward. That is when Moon Knight is at the front door. He is letting the new enforcers know that Dylan Brock is under his protection. This means that the new enforcers have two choices. They can go home and chalk this up to one misadventure, or they can come in and try to take him. But he does warn them that if you come inside, there will be nothing but pain and terror waiting for you in my house. Now, for those that have been reading Moon Knight, you know exactly what is capable here. You know exactly what can go down. The Midnight Mission is essentially a haunted house now, with Moon Knight making a deal, saying that this entity could live in the Midnight Mission, be its protector, but it also has the capability to eat people alive. The new enforcers, they have no idea about this. With Moon Knight going back inside, Dylan asks if that is going to work. Do you think they're gonna go away? And Moon Knight knows that they're not. These guys are mercenaries. If they don't bring Dylan in, they don't get their paycheck. With Dylan filling it in, saying that the Life Foundation and Alchemex are the ones that put the bounty on his head, because they want Venom. And they have been trying to track him down ever since Eddie Brock had died. At one point, they caught up with him. They caged him. They strapped him down. They poked and prodded him with needles. The truth is, Dylan has been through a lot. And Moon Knight goes on to say that he didn't really know Eddie that well. But Eddie was right. Moon Knight knows what it feels like to have people think you can't be counted on. But he is telling Dylan in this moment that you can count on me. He tells him to suit up and get ready, because there are 3 of them and 4 enforcers. The enforcers, wasting no time, they come charging in. They break down the front door. They call out Venom. But once they get inside, they find nothing around them. As they look around, they're a little bit confused, not sure where the heck they are, and the front door, it seems to be disappearing. It's moving further and further away from them. They have no idea what they just walked into. That is when the voice calls to them, the voice of Moon Knight. He tells them that they are lost, that they are damned. That's when the new enforcers, they start shooting in all directions. And once they have finished up, that is when Moon Knight and Venom go in. Superficially, Tangle is the least dangerous, but if she can immobilize either of them, it could very quickly be game over as the other three bring their powers to bear. So Venom hits her first, and he hits her hard. Moon Knight goes directly after Eel and Thermite, and once Tangle has been taken down, Venom goes after Blitz. One by one, we see the new enforcers being brought down. This fight lasting mere moments. Both Moon Knight and Venom, they laid down some hate. The two of them standing back to back and all of the enforcers knocked out unconscious on the ground. As they grab the bodies and they throw them out into the street. Moon Knight lets it be known that he could have let the mission eat them, but he wants to call this a teachable moment. And if he's being real with Venom, he's gone against Osborn's Venom a few years back. That was an absolute nightmare. But what he's telling Dylan is that you should have been able to handle the new enforcers without a problem. And Dylan knows this to be true, but there's something going on in the city. Symbiotes being sensitive to sound, they keep catching this weird frequency, like the whole city is a tuning fork. This has been throwing them off their game. This is when Moon Knight recognizes that they may have the same problem. Moon Knight has been trying to track down this evil sound engineer for quite some time, the one known as Sidney Sarnak. He appears to be the key to all of this, and now Venom is honing in on that frequency, and he is leading Moon Knight directly to where this guy is. It doesn't take him long to find the location. The two of them together, they jump in. They start taking down the goons one by one. Venom telling Moon Knight to go find your guy while he takes care of the henchmen. Running down the corridors, this is when he runs into a safe room. You see, Sidney knew that Moon Knight would come sooner or later. Somebody told him he would. Somebody had planned for this. Sidney refused to have Moon Knight take him in, but what he has also done is called the police. He called the cops on himself, that he's going to turn himself in for all of his crimes. He would rather do this than let Moon Knight take him, because after all, isn't prison better than the alternative, which is being interrogated by Moon Knight, with Dylan coming up saying that the cops are coming. The sirens are outside, and so Moon Knight and Venom, they hightail it out of here. And while technically the bad guy is in jail, Moon Knight needed to talk to him. He needed to find out who Sidney was working for. But that's another problem for another day. He tells Dylan that he did a fantastic job today, that his offer still stands. There will always be a place for Dylan Brock at the Midnight Mission. But Dylan knows that he can't stick around. He's got other things he's got to take care of. Moon Knight telling him that if you ever need me, all you have to do is call. He tells Moon Knight that you are a lot like my father. He also worked with great effort to be a better man. But he tells Moon Knight to be careful, because that is what got his father killed. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like I said, a very fun issue. I know I personally got so excited when the new enforcers just broke down the door of the Midnight Mission. They had absolutely no idea what they were running into. I think this is one of my favorite things to come out of this line. The idea that the Midnight Mission is now an entity all in itself, a haunted house, a house of horror, a house that not only protects Moon Knight and all of his friends, but also would very quickly eat you alive if you are a foe, if you are an enemy. And this crossover, it really didn't feel like Venom was shoehorned into it. The truth is, a lot of people come to Moon Knight for help, and it also makes sense why Venom was here. The sound engineer making this sound throughout the city, it has been affecting the symbiote. It has been affecting Venom. This means his game wasn't at 100%. And so while Moon Knight was definitely able to help out Venom, Venom also helped out Moon Knight, helped him track down Sidney. And it's taken Moon Knight a while to figure out who is responsible, who is the guy at the very top giving all the orders out. Now, we already know that it's his old foe that we've just recently seen in the comics that he had put in jail. This is all building up, and it is going to be absolutely phenomenal once we see where this actually lands. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with this series, Be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with Moon Knight. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to getting comics every single month. Not only does this help out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. If you are unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.